Welcome to the ShitFlix Halloween Spooktacular 2!
It's twice as scary!
Very scary! Be afraid! Scream! We use outdated phones! Outdated technology! This is a 4S!
This is a 4!
Why don't we have 5s and 6s? That's weird! We're
spooky! The couch is 5 inches closer!
Right in your face! Whoa! Mine's even closer than 5 inches! Oh, that's so terrifying! It's like change your pants. That's scary. Despite me wearing Aeropostale all the time, my underwear isn't! It's Fruit of the Loom! Okay. We watched a movie today. But before we say the title...
Hellraiser Hellworld.
Fuck you. I just wanted to inform everyone that this is now a Halloween tradition. We watch Hellraiser films in the opposite order that they were released every year. That's all I wanted to say. You couldn't have let me just have that before you said the title.
No.
Okay, then.
Yep, we're impaling ourselves on the spike.
Yes, except...
rather than having the spike forced down the throat.
even then, it's not going to be pleasant.
One way or another, it's gonna hurt.
So, Hellraiser Hellworld. The tagline being, evil goes online.
There's no online.
Should I give the plot?
Go for it,
Okay.
sir.
A long time ago, these group of friends that were Chelsea,
galaxy far, far away.
Chelsea, Allison, Derek, Mike, and Jake played this game, Hellworld, and one of their friends, Adam, got really, really into it. It's based on Cenobite mythology. If you don't know what Cenobites is, that's not going to help at all, because we're not going to tell you. Fuck you. Moving on. So they're at his funeral because he got so obsessed with it, he killed himself.
Whoosh.
Just like that. Whoosh.
Yep.
He,
Whoosh. Up in flames.
After what, 2 years later, the gang, who were all playing Hellworld, the names I mentioned earlier...
are still playing Hellworld, mind you.
Some of them, but yes, they are very much still into it. That they get invited to a private party for Hellworld players. They go to said party and meet the host of the party, who starts telling them about all this mythos of the Cenobites. He brings them around the house and shows them all the creepy things, and then they go about their partying time. And one by one, they're slowly killed off, and they start seeing these visions of Pinhead, and then being trapped in places, and all this stuff. First goes Allison, the more party-ish girl. She's torn apart by things on her neck while the host is there doing it. He's evil. Then goes...
he's working with the Cenobites.
Then goes,
because Pinhead shows up.
Yes. Pinhead shows up at Derek's, who is next. He goes down into the room where all the bodies and stuff are kept, and he gets decapitated by Pinhead. Scary. Ooh. Yeah, we're gonna try to sell that. After that point, there's the character Mike. Mike, he's dancing with this girl, but then he goes and tries to have sex with her, but then she traps him downstairs, and then he's stuck on a meat hook from one of the Cenobites who's not as important as Pinhead. So he's dead. That leaves Jake and Chelsea, who are now finding out that the host of the party was actually Adam's dad, who is taking revenge on their group for not saving Adam. He's put this whole thing together, and there actually were no Cenobites the whole time. It was all just hallucinatory drugs and whatnot that he used to get them to do this stuff. And he actually buried them alive, where he's planning on letting them suffer underground. And then the cops show up. some days later and save them from being buried. And Jake and Chelsea both live.
The rest of them actually
The rest of them actually died. Those hallucinations were subliminal hypnotic suggestion, where Allison, instead of the saws hitting her neck in that creepy chair, she just gouged at her neck, trying to stop the saws that she thought were there. Derek actually died of an asthma attack, and Mike just was a little bitch. He was just really scared. He's a bitch. And we'll talk about why that's a problem later. So then the cops show up and get him out, and everything's all groovy, and they could have cut to black right there, but they didn't. So then you see Adam's dad. It's like, oh, my son, I'm sorry, but I had to do this to your friends. And then he finds the real puzzle box in there, because Adam was really, really dedicated to Hellworld. And he solves the puzzle box after about 3 milliseconds. And he pushes the button, and who comes in but Pinhead?
And the two other guys.
And they kill him, and they take him to Hellworld, and scary. And then they show Jake and Chelsea in a car, and they answer a phone. And the phone causes Adam's dad to pop up in the back of the car and grab the wheel and almost cause him to crash. But then he didn't crash because he's actually dead, and I'm not entirely sure what that entire last 5 minutes was about. Now.
A little bit of history real quick.
Okay.
And this actually will make a lot of sense to why the plot is the way it is, and one of the reasons why I excuse a lot of this. One, this, from what we understand, is that this screenplay... What was its original title?
God damn it. I knew you'd ask, and I don't know.
I was off the cuff. I wasn't actually expecting you to go and get it. But
fine.
This originally was a script by a different title that had nothing whatsoever to do with Hellraiser. And...
There we go. Okay. The script was adapted from a treatment titled Dark Can't Breathe, which was unrelated to the Hellraiser series.
So, if you take the plot of the movie, you take out any of the Hellraiser bits and the epilogue.
Like, if anytime they hallucinated and seeing Pinhead, if it was actually still just the host character doing it,
yeah,
rather than them trying to make it seem like Pinhead was involved somehow, this wouldn't have been a Hellraiser movie at all.
And actually, it wouldn't have been a very bad film.
No. That's the problem.
To be honest, actually, like, alright, there's this one bit in the movie that helped it for me. It was that it was self-referential.
Oh, yeah.
About...
The problem being, okay,
I think this is like the only one that I mildly like of all the Hellraiser movies I have seen.
The Hellraiser franchise, as far as we can tell, is in this world.
Yes.
At least the mythos is, because they made an MMO of it.
It comes from a book from Clive Barker. Clive Barker also made the first movie.
Maybe Clive Barker's book is real and the movies aren't, or something like that. I don't know what all is real.
It's very possible.
But they had enough of this to make an MMO.
Which they haven't even done in this world.
That these main characters play. So everything that you know from the Hellraiser movies that you can make fun of, like the boxes, the Lamacharns de Berge box.
The puzzles.
The puzzle boxes, or certain characters that pop up. There's like the Engineer, the Leviathan is apparently a thing. I did a little bit of research on this just to get a feel for what's going on. The Pinhead character, 2 other ones. They are mentioned...
We'll be wizards on this in a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. They are mentioned in this movie. So it's kind of a nice little poke at like, hey, we did those things.
Now... The thing is with this style, especially with a long-running horror genre, has been done before.
Yes.
And it's been done in Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street series. And he was also the one who did the movie, which was, I believe it was 7, which was called Freddy's Nightmare, which was that Freddy, like, they're the world, this was in the world of, you know, Freddy and Nightmare on Elm Street and all that kind of stuff. Nightmare on Elm Street was an actual movie, and the main actress of the movie is playing herself, like, in whatnot, and then all the movies are, like, keeping Freddy, like, contained and all this other stuff. It's stupid. But at the same time, though, it makes a lot of the points that the first one made that were brand new. This one follows along with the same, I guess you could say, construction. It has the same structure set up, but The problem with this movie...
Oh, we're in the... Okay.
Oh,
Real quick. Okay. I want to go real quick.
Go for it.
Before we get into problems. I just want to point out the casting.
I didn't enjoy it.
The casting.
The casting was...
Just those two. Just the two that you know I'm about to bring up.
Okay.
Number 1. Mike's character. The one who died of the little bitch syndrome.
Yep.
His actor's name, little itty bitty name.
He's pretty big now. You've probably heard him recently.
You wouldn't have heard of him. I mean, maybe if you were into tiny little indie flicks, but you wouldn't have heard him otherwise. Henry Cavill, guy who played Superman. Fuck you.
Yeah.
This dude, dying of little bitch syndrome, is Henry Cavill, the most current incarnation of Superman. What? What?
Now, this movie came out in 2005. I have a hunch it was made before it.
We're unsure of that, but we'll get to that
We're
later.
unsure of that. Just looks it.
Point being, though, that okay, especially with superhero movies, if you come into a superhero role, typically, if you haven't done major other things,
you cannot have the bitch factor.
Well, no, you can't escape that superhero role.
Yeah.
Even for earlier stuff, you can't escape your later stuff.
Yeah.
So, I haven't seen Henry Cavill in, like, The Tudors or anything like that. I don't know his other stuff.
I haven't seen him in that.
When I looked at Mike in this movie, I was like, you're the fucking Man of Steel. You are fucking Superman. Act like it! He was sitting there like, oh my god!
He did say the one funny line in the movie.
He did. Okay. There was... I loved it. I loved it.
We both...
Okay.
Quite humorous.
I gotta find a little bit of backstory on this. Okay, so one of the things about the party is that you are allowed to wear masks. And it's all about...
very eyes wide shut with numbers.
Yeah, it's all about giving in to the temptations of the flesh, because
people fuck.
So, if you liked the way someone was looking on the dance floor, they gave you cell phones that you could type in the number that was written on their mask's forehead, and then they'll answer, and you could get some anonymous debauchery on.
Actually, I don't mind that.
That's, well...
as long as they hand out condoms.
I also kind of wish they would have screened for STDs.
I know.
That was a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
It was like, solve this puzzle online. Click. You get a free invite.
No, you get a free invite. It's like a free invite asterisk, and the asterisk is like, on condition of passing all STD tests.
Yeah, exactly. I would have enjoyed that. Anyway.
It's like oh, okay. Alright, we're good.
So, Henry Cavill, I'm going to call him that now. Henry Cavill, he took out his phone, called this one girl, and the girl's like, oh yeah, you got that chin that I just love.
It's a goddamn cleft.
It's beautiful.
It's like cleft. He's got the John Travolta cleft.
Anyway, so then he walks over to a chair, and you just get this behind him shot, and then it pans over and you see he's getting head.
He looks up like this. He's like,
yeah. And then he does that. And then he gets a call from Chelsea, who's also in the house. And she's like, help, I'm trapped and things are happening. And oh my god.
Yeah, shit's going down upstairs.
I'm trapped in your room and I'm going to die. But he had already tried to make a move on Chelsea earlier.
And failed abysmally.
So he's just like, look, I don't particularly, I'm getting head right now. So I'm not, he didn't actually say that, But he's like, look, I don't really care. And he's like, oh, please, you have to help me. And then he said the line of, well, maybe you shouldn't have blown me off. And then he just gave this smirk and looked down. And he's like, I know what I said. And we cracked up.
I'm like, okay, movie, there you go.
It was great.
Man.
Can I say the other casting choice? The other casting choice that we love is fucking Bishop.
Bishop's back!
Fucking Bishop. If you can find
I don't think he's been back since Dying God.
It's been a long... No, he has been back since then.
Yeah?
I remember we said fucking Bishop at least once since then.
Yeah, okay. So Bishop has been back at least once.
Dying God, you can find us get very excited. And there's another review somewhere else, but I don't know what it is. Lance Henriksen, the actor who played Bishop... Was it Alien or Aliens? Aliens. I think it was Alien. Alien, he played Bishop, which was the android. And he's just the coolest motherfucker. He plays the host of the party. He's Adam's father. I love him. And that's when we were going through, I figured, let's make the tradition of Hellraiser. I typed in Hellraiser, and the top results thing for movies was Hellraiser Hellworld, and it had the little subtitle there, Lance Henriksen. I was like,
I mean, the thing is, though, the more that I think about it, like, if they really had taken anything involving Hellraiser out of it, actually, like, yeah, if they took out anything involving Hellraiser and had just replaced it with something of equal, like, pop status value or whatever the holy hell it was.
Jason Voorhees.
Anything,
Freddy
yeah.
Krueger. Pokemon.
It didn't even have to be real.
This could be a movie involving Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, for that matter.
Getting too involved in your character and stuff
people
like that.
say that D&D people don't get down. Fuck you. Yeah, we do. And also Vin Diesel's one of us. So, the fact of the matter is...
I'm not associated with that group. Asterisk.
It's like, one half of ShitFlix is not associated with the group of Dungeons and Dragons. We do not LARP. We do not condone any LARPing.
Alright, back to the movie.
But, the,
Want to talk about the problems?
Yeah, Alright, this... When I said to David, this movie is so close to being right.
Really? Okay, it was a very average movie throughout the whole thing.
My whole thing was like, if Hellraiser had taken out of it, this movie would have been decent.
It was a nice revenge film.
Yeah.
Admittedly, the only reason I think they used...
There's no prologue. There's no basis for us to understand the connection between these characters. We're only just told what has happened.
We can feel for all the characters we're seeing, but the entire plot is set in motion because of the Adam character. And we get told why we care about the Adam character. He was one of their friends.
But we don't
His
care about
father
him at
didn't
all.
love him enough. He was never there for him. And
It's
he
all
ended up taking his own
exposition.
life. We needed to get at least flashback scenes, if not a prologue.
Yeah,
scene
like, and also the thing is, like, all the exposition shouting actually happens like 2/3 through the movie.
Farther than that, it's when they're about to get killed.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah, it's actually near the fucking end.
Right at the very end.
It's at the end.
He's like, you were never there for your son. I was like,
It's
we
like,
have 5 minutes left. What are you doing?
Both David and I just look at each other and like, really? They're throwing exposition? The shit that you need to know the entire setup of the entirety of the movie is told at the end. That does not work well.
Don't get us wrong. We knew that Adam was their friend.
Yes.
We got that. But we didn't know...
It's something...
Like, how... We got a general idea of, like, he died because he got too involved in the Hellraiser world. But we didn't know, like, was he taken by Pinhead? Did he commit suicide? Was he depressed? What's his last name? Anything about this guy, we didn't know.
Tons of characters do tons of different things in these movies. So the fact of the matter is, like, if you're feeding off of the mythology of it, then you need to have something along the lines. But since this movie is obviously from something else, the fact of the matter is, we still need to see it.
Yeah.
Like, and even, alright.
Like, let's say
one second. Okay. Like, even if we don't see it, I'll set that aside. Even if you just stuck to saying it, say it in the beginning.
Right.
So we have context for what's going on.
And there was a funeral scene.
Yeah.
Adam's funeral. They had
the
that
most
scene.
informal funeral I've ever seen.
But all they did was talk about this was our fault. And it was Hellworld.
They don't establish the connection.
Nothing. They don't say anything about it. Like, let's say that there was a character named Adam that was a part of ShitFlix. He hasn't been around for a while. But we can talk about him. We can say what a great guy he was. We can say he was awesome. Remember that time Adam made that joke?
Yeah.
Adam was the best. Remember that time that he bought us all those props that we could use on the show?
Yeah.
Man, Adam was awesome.
I miss Adam.
Yeah, I miss Adam too. But do you, the viewer, miss Adam? You never knew Adam. You haven't seen it. You don't even know what Adam looks like. He's ugly as fuck.
It might be a girl for all you know.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
Adam stands for a dumb bitch.
No.
I'm sorry. I had to do that one.
You got some venom in that one, David.
I couldn't resist it. It was there.
But no, it goes back to the fact of the matter is just the movie. Again, it's so close to being right. And I'm not saying that, like, fix a couple things that have been perfect or something like that. No, it would have been passable. And David has an idea, and actually I agree with him about how the movie could have ended better.
Okay, well, as I told you before, the ending went on, and then there was him sitting in the hotel room with the puzzle box and all that. None of that should have happened.
No.
In my idea of what...
The epilogue should not have happened.
I always feel bad about correcting how a movie should have gone.
Yeah, I know.
Because this was the idea from the people, and you can't change it.
Or else it was from the studio. You really don't know.
I'm going to go ahead and say...
Hey, director, let me know.
I'm going to go ahead and say that this is okay to critique, because it's not so much as changing things, as much as just getting the credits started sooner.
Also,
It's
part
just
of
taking out myths.
well,
Part
part
it's
of
not
me,
adding things.
I know, but like also part of me thinks that this was probably in there from
Mhm.
the beginning because this was the second movie by the same director released in the same year.
Here's the thing, though. Okay, and I'm gonna get back to that, but hold on.
Boca,
What happened was
I think.
Buddha.
Boca.
There was a line earlier on where it's like, I'm going to give you a great sunset when we get out of here. And
Sunrise.
Chelsea's like, fuck off. Chelsea's like,
There's
fuck
difference.
off. Okay, sunrise. And then at the very end, they get out, the police save them, and...
All of a sudden, the hallucination just ends.
No, well, yeah, they're like, hey, all of a
Like,
sudden I'm actually out of
my
it.
God, it's okay now.
Maybe it's like-
Sunlight cured me.
Maybe it's like sensory deprivation, we don't know.
I suppose.
But then what it ended up being was he said a line like, I guess I still owe you that sunrise. And then it moved on with the rest of the plot after they revealed that for some reason Adam's spirit or something called 911 and managed to alert the police of their location. We're going to just sweep that part under the rug.
MacGuffin.
That didn't happen.
MacGuffin.
What should have happened,
Big
though,
lipped alligator moment.
is that they get out. It is sunrise as they're being opened up by the police. Jake's on the stretcher and he's like, hey, there's that sunset I promised you. And Chelsea gives that half-hearted juxtaposition. Jake, I'm glad we made it through this. Pan out, everything's fine. They do the Adam moment even if they want to again. Fade to black, go to credits. We don't need to see that, oh, Pinhead was real the whole time. Scary, scary coconuts.
This could have actually, you had to make it real at the end to be part of the Hellraiser
And
franchise.
that's the thing. You saying that it was always a part of the story. It definitely was not part of the story when this was dark tale thing, whatever. When it was
No. The epilogue. I'm saying, like, after you leave the mansion, everything else was added.
Yes.
I know that.
That was specifically just to fit it in the Hellraiser mythos.
Because there's no reason why we should have been following the dead if we haven't been following him from the very beginning.
Right.
So the fact of the matter is, like, alright, if you introduce alternative characters, even if they're antagonist characters, and you decide that they're going to have a long stretch of time at the end of the movie, you have to give them a long stretch of time by themselves, or at least on screen in the beginning of the movie, to give them a sense of purpose, a sense of importance in the script.
Right.
The problem is, with this one, it's obvious that this epilogue is tacked on.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's awful. It's not, but at the same, and it's fucking predictable as shit. But at the same time, though, like you ruined actually a good little murder mystery plot.
Yeah, murder revenge story.
Little murder revenge story with the fact that you had to throw this actually in the Hellraiser mythos. Actually, I think this could have been easily a movie that stayed in the Hellraiser universe. It could have simply been about Hellraiser, but if you cut the entire epilogue off, it would have been probably one of the better Hellraisers.
What I think could have been interesting is we got glimpses throughout the movie of how Adam did die. He got too much into it, but rather than summoning Pinhead or one of the other guys, one of the Cenobites, he set up like this ritual thing that looked like it was a Cenobite thing. He doused himself in gasoline and he lit himself in flame. If he were, I'm iffy on this because it depends on how it was played out in the story. But I feel like if we were to get the feeling that Adam, he could have killed himself, but it was just ambiguous enough as to whether he killed himself or whether he actually got in contact with Pinhead and Pinhead got to him.
I think that he had contact with Pinhead. Maybe, possibly, Pinhead was starting to drive him insane. Because I'm going on.
All right, fine, go. I'm done.
Well, Pinhead probably ended up getting him at the end.
Right.
But the thing is, at the same time, all right, what possibly could happen, and I'm thinking of this as I go here, that the creation of the box that Adam did was, in reality...
Adam made a box.
Yeah, Adam made the puzzle box to open the world to hell here. And the thing
Not
is,
like the original box.
That's what I'm thinking. What if that everything that existed in the movie and whatnot, everything existed in this movie, it was all the stuff that existed actually in the universe, but Adam was the first one to take it to an obsession to a point at which he created the box, and he accidentally actually created the box.
Here's the thing. We know for a fact that Hellraiser 2 and Hellraiser 3 really delve into the deep mythos.
Yeah.
The origins, the creations, all this stuff.
That stuff.
We haven't seen Hellraiser 2 or 3.
I've seen them years ago.
I have never seen them. We got the gist of it from online, but that's missing out a lot.
Yeah.
We'll
get to it.
If what we're saying is against the theories, sorry, but this is how we feel.
And also, we're coming
coming
at this from reverse too.
Yes.
So we're
going to see the first Hellraiser last at this point.
Yeah, and then we'll oh, wow, all of this makes sense.
At that point, it's like, oh, his name was Pinhead the whole time. Crazy.
Whoa! It was actually Pinhead. It wasn't just a cultural name.
All right. From there, how was the practical effects, the gore, and the...
There wasn't a whole hell of a lot, actually. And actually, for Hellraiser movies...
It was very tame.
It was even tame. It was even more tame than Revelations.
Revelations had that whole skin-taking scene.
Yeah, it did.
That was...
And it was more budget constrained than this film.
Yeah.
This movie really didn't have a whole lot of gore. And actually, that's the thing. Hellraiser is known for its gore.
Yeah.
And it's not like, Evil Dead where it's like, it's gore, but it's like so over the top that you're like, okay, this is almost cartoonish.
Oh, I got a paper cut.
Yeah, basically. But the thing is, Hellraiser was renowned when it first came out. Like, one of the reasons why people flock to this movie is because of how legitimately gory it is. And it's fucking gross. That was one of the reasons when I watched this movie when I was younger, the reasons that it was so off-putting to me. Obviously.
Explains a lot, man.
To be fair, actually, I couldn't handle horror films until I started reviewing horror films. And then I'm like, I love horror films now. I'm so desensitized. I don't give a shit no more.
Which... That's something I wanted to bring up. Mythos-wise. I know we keep getting back to this.
Yeah.
One thing about the mythos that we do understand is that it's the people who engage in the perverted, sick, twisted, hedonistic, masochistic things that get targeted by the Cenobites. I thought it was a missed opportunity, but at the same time I'm kind of glad they didn't take it. The internet is very well known for desensitizing people to a lot of heavy shit.
Yeah, what was that first initial shock site back?
Lemon Party? Don't go to it!
No, not Lemon Party. It was before that.
Oh, I don't know.
It was called Scum or something like that.
Point being that I would have liked to see almost, it's like the sort of idea of what happens when you put the Ring video on YouTube. I would have liked to see you're entering an age where all these people are just into this sick, twisted shit. The entire B image board on 4chan is targeted by Cenobites.
Yeah.
That would be so interesting.
That would be, the thing is also, this movie, obviously, again, I say that it came out in 2005. It definitely was not made in 2005.
Yeah.
It was made back-to-back with the other Hellraiser movie, Deader.
Which was released in 2005.
Yeah, both of them were released in the same year, so at the same time, this makes me think that it was made at least a year or two before.
Right. It just had a very late 90s, early 2000s feel.
It has that feel.
Right.
But...
I mean, you think Nokia phone right now. Picture in your head, Nokia phone.
It was shot on film.
They all have the classic brick, small display Nokia phones. And I know back in 2005 there wasn't a whole lot, but I think iPhone was out in 2007, wasn't it? The original iPhone?
I don't remember, actually.
It was out very soon afterwards, which makes me think that there was a bit of time in between here.
So, something
like that. Maybe it was just budget constraints, maybe it was whatever, but it definitely feels like this was made long before 2005, by at least a few years.
I just want to know, why would you think that Hellraiser has enough of an audience in which that another Hellraiser sequel would be merited in the same exact year as another release? I just don't get that. Alright, I'm not a part of the Hellraiser cult club and whatnot, because the thing is, though, I've never been a fan of the series. I might change my mind when we go back through all the movies again, but, time will tell.
That's a lot of time.
That is a long time. But the fact of the matter is that the movies themselves, they have a following. Mm-hmm. and they are one of the more, up there cult followings with horror films, but it's still at the same time, it's not huge.
Right.
So the market for these movies is not really that big.
So to release 2 in 1 year.
And this movie was made for like, what, $5 million?
It was cheap, I can tell you that. I don't think $5 million.
Like $1 million or something like that. I know it was at least $1 million, but either way, the fact of the matter is it definitely cost more than Revelations. Not that much. if you had Bishop in here and whatnot, you were able to afford something.
Well, I mean...
But then again, Dying God was shot pretty shit. But
Revelations, we checked online, it doesn't have a Rotten Tomatoes critic score.
No.
But it does have an audience score, which is 2%.
Which is pretty intense.
Dear God, it's terrible.
That's among the lowest rung. That's like the underneath, like the splinters, like, caught in like the bottom of the barrel here.
Yeah, that's below the barrel.
You're in the grind. You're in the rut.
There is also a page for this movie, Hellworld, where it has an audience score of like 24%. No, yeah, 24%. And I forget what the critic score is, but it's around 20-something% as well. Not good by any means.
No.
Bad scores. But it's significantly better, which is, I think, why we're giving it a lot of at least for me, the only exposure I've had to Hellraiser was Revelations.
I've also read the book.
So I went in with such low expectations as to what every single movie was going to be. And as soon as they pulled out that twist on this one, I was like, huh. It was actually clever the way they got there.
Okay, but it wasn't because of Hellraiser. It was because of the other scripts.
It was a different movie, exactly. And that's probably why people gave it such a low score. I didn't read any other reviews, I don't know. But I feel like it was because this wasn't a Hellraiser movie.
Yeah.
This was a movie. This was a revenge torture
This was like something
movie.
that you would see from like Alfred Hitchcock.
Right, well...
Like, modernized.
If Alfred Hitchcock made bad
like
movies,
Kubrick.
yes.
And whatnot. Like, think about like these, like, actually, John Landis would have probably made this movie and whatnot. This has a very, like, if you actually threw out all the Hellraiser crap and whatnot, this has a very Clue aspect to it.
Does.
So, that would have been interesting. I would have actually loved to see this movie as something else. And I probably would have, considered it a lot higher than it is. Right now, this is not a horrible movie, but at the same time, though, it's not all that great.
Do you have any more final thoughts?
I mean, my final thoughts is like the fact that I go back one more time. They're so close to getting this right, and I'm not saying perfect or anything like that, but they're so close to like, all right, regardless of how shitty or how not shitty the movie is and whatnot, the end of the film, and this goes throughout all the film, not just the end of the film, but the entire film as a whole was at least a satisfying watch. Mm-hmm. The ending of it, like, we were like on the edges of our seats, like, don't do what you think,
They kept on flashing between like the house, and then she sees Adam in the window, and we were just going back and forth to that, and we were like, we're just waiting for the stinger, where like Pinhead pops up behind her, says like, this isn't a game anymore, and then flips shit again. That's.
And then she's really still back in the casket.
She's really still in the casket, and none of that was even happening. We were waiting for that because we've been let down before. We've been hurt before.
We were like, just give them the happy ending. Just please give them the happy ending.
Pan out from the house, show her standing next to the ambulance, is driving away with Jake in it, fade to black. But it didn't. It faded to the next scene, which is why we were so disappointed with the next two scenes.
I mean, like, it's really interesting, guys. You made the movie too long.
Yeah.
And this movie was like, what? Only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, you should have just simply kept it an hour 20 minutes. You didn't have to make it the 90
like
minutes.
Hour 20. It would have been like an hour 25.
Probably.
They're not cutting out that much.
Yeah, probably, give or take. Like,
it was just to say, like...
I'm just being generous with time slot.
Right. I don't know.
But either way, the fact of the matter is, though, like, you guys almost got it. You almost got it, and actually, that's going to be interesting to see the other movie that came out this year.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, I wonder if it's going to be of the same quality, but in the actual Hellraiser universe. But the fact of the matter is, guys, like, there is something to it. You made me chuckle a few times, and there was you kept me watching, at least. Whatnot. I was never, like, abjectly bored.
Right.
In Revelations, I was.
Oh, we were about to die.
Oh, my God.
Terrible.
But this movie at least kept my attention, and that's more than we can say for at least half of these films that we watch for the show. So, all in all, movie not nearly as bad as I could have thought it was. But at the same time, I'm not going to recommend this shit.
Right. I am very much into movies with a deep mythos. I'm very much into anything with a deep mythos. You ask Matt here, I'm always looking for the continuities. I'm looking for the underlying theories, the things that keep them all going together.
Fringe.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, yo, Fringe.
Fringe.
I'm very much into that, and that's why I feel like Hellraiser is a kind of series.
And I just remember this entire movie is much like an episode of Fringe, where they have that drug.
Yeah, they have a drug that causes hallucinations.
That can kill you.
Yeah, well,
because he was cut from the inside out for the butterflies and stuff like that. And his clothes were dead.
Yeah, that one.
He's like, yeah, and he jumps out the window. I was like, yeah, all right, keep going. Sorry,
anyway, yeah.
I just remembered it off the top of my head.
Oh yeah,
Fringe.
Fuck, see, now I don't even know.
Sorry.
The deep mythology, I do enjoy those type of series, and I feel like Hellraiser is one of those ones where I don't know if it's been thought out well enough, because every time someone new steps up to the bat, maybe they want to add stuff, maybe they want to subtract stuff. It seems like this one, it didn't really add or subtract, since it was its own separate story. But I'm really interested in the sort of mythology behind this thing. I mean, I looked it up. Like, the name of the mansion they were in was called the Leviathan House, which is apparently the name of the deity god thing that created the Cenobites. That's the sort of little touches that I'm like, I really am interested in this continuity.
I think we both have gone through both of the movies that are not actually strictly in the canon of the story.
Most likely, yes.
And we probably did. We went to the outliers first.
Yeah, which may not be the best thing, but still, it's a decent entrance point, at least. For this particular movie, though, without planning on watching any other Hellraisers, just as a movie on its own, I want to say it's entertaining at the least. For a Halloween special, nah. It's not good enough to be a Halloween special. You'd have better off watching, Halloween 3.
I actually like Halloween 3.
But no,
it's silly.
It's a matter of... I can't say this is a decent Halloween special for Hellraiser. I wouldn't say any of the Hellraisers pretty much are Halloween specials. It's not so much of spooky scary. It's more of
spooky scary.
This is the demon that lies inside old men, fear and cower at it, blah blah blah.
Here's some blood and guts.
If you're just watching this at any other point in the year, which I'm hoping this won't just be it's Halloween, I'll just watch it on this one day.
Halloween Hellraiser. We'll get through the rest of it.
At any given point throughout the year, is it just a film on its own? Yes, it can stand on its own as long as you don't think too hard about it. Because it is somewhat trying to make itself a love letter to this Cenobite mythology, but only through those little, here's this little touch, and this little touch, and this little touch.
You actually have to know the mythology.
Right, if you ignore that stuff, if you just gloss over the entire time they're talking about it, just whatever,
you're not going to care.
Then it's not going to impact the story in any way whatsoever. Because you'll still get the basics of, for some reason, this guy is killing these people. And when they come to the explanation at the end, you understand why he was killing those people.
It makes sense. It's like the reaping. It's like, this is confusing. Oh!
Exactly. So, would I recommend it on a strictly movie basis? No. But if you can just cut out Henry Cavill's scenes, his character Mike, if you can cut out his scenes and just watch those by himself, that's way worth it. I love that guy.
Or Bishop.
Yeah, Bishop.
Because Bishop mugging is so great.
I just want mainly his audio tracks.
I was expecting him to have a lot more face time. I wanted him to be the villain. Yeah. He's only known as the host, so he should have been the main force behind this. There's so much bait and switch scare shit that happens.
Yeah.
Like that one time where Jake
turned around and he thought he saw a Cenobite, but it actually was Chelsea, and he stabbed her in the head, and so she's like, "Why didn't you do that to me?" And then I thought you were that. And then he gets a call from Chelsea, and Chelsea's like, "Why the fuck are you flipping shit down there?"
And she's not there.
Oh my god, it wasn't actually her. The house is playing tricks on us. We have to go.
I'm like, no, you should have had fucking Bishop just go in and shit start getting fucked up and whatnot, because apparently he's supposedly controlling, their thoughts through suggestions.
Right.
So the fact of the matter is, even though he ends up figuring it out, he doesn't figure it out at that point. Like, he figures that out much later on in the story. The fact of the matter is, you had a lot of wasted...
Right.
Again, you're so close to getting it right. You had a lot of wasted opportunities here. And also, if you're going to trade on the Hellraiser franchise, make it fucking gory. You got the sex in there.
Oh,
you got plenty
I'm surprised we
sex.
didn't even talk about that.
Because it was not a problem at all.
There is a love scene, there is a fuck scene, and there is a
bait and switch.
As the movie itself put, gratuitous tit shot, necessary tit shot. Those are actual words out of the character's mouth. They know what they were playing with.
Yep.
And on that note, on the tit shot line, I believe this review of Hellraiser Hellworld is done. Oh, this is embarrassing. I'm getting a call right at the end of the review too. Jeez, that's... Who would have thought that... Alright, I'm dropping it. Alright. This number here?
It's unknown.
It's unknown. Should I answer it?
Yeah. Sure. Go for it.
Yeah, what's worse gonna happen? Speakerphone.
Hello, Mr. Short. This is Derek from Amazon.com. I'm calling in regards to your giant dildo order.
That's not my, that's not mine. It's a friend of mine. He doesn't have Amazon Prime, and he wanted free shipping. So I told him that he could use mine. So she could use mine. So I let her, and I need to take this. So happy Halloween, everyone. It's not mine. It's not mine. Okay. Derek. Yeah, hi. Which one is it? No, I wanted the one from the movie 7.